Coach Damon Floyd Show here on the Buzz 101.3, where all of our coaching interviews weekly are brought to you by Las Margaritas on 25th Street. We appreciate their continued support of Bearden Central High School football. Coach Floyd, I love to open the show, but congratulate you on another win. And this win was special because it was our first home game. It was our first game on the new turf. It was homecoming night. It was your 100th win. I mean, there's a lot of things to congratulate you on, but it was all in all a great night. And how did it feel to be on your own field with turf for the very first time leading a team?
It's been a long time coming. We've talked a lot about it, but it was really nice. I mean, and I've said it multiple times. I think we have the nicest stadium in the state of Tennessee. And, the field lived up to what we thought it was going to. It looks great. I think our kids enjoyed playing on it. It's a great surface.
Yes.
We've had a number of practices on it now, so it's really nice just to go out there and not have to worry about lining the field or, the field's wet or any of those variables that you got to worry about. So, it was a great night with homecoming and, our first game really at home this year. So we were happy to get the win and, hopefully we can continue to do that.
Well, 28-0 shutout over Hardin Valley. It's our first shot since 2012. It's 9 years ago. It's really hard to believe that. But our defense has been pretty stellar most of the year. 2 more interceptions. That's 8 for the season by the defense. And those 8 have been made by 7 different players. So it's a lot of people contributing. Wayne Dayton and Max Wilson had those last week. And a lot of that, though, you're the defense coordinator. You know this. It's attributed to the defensive line, the rush, and the pressure putting on the quarterback, making them scramble and just having to get rid of the ball. And our guys are making good reads. They're in the right position, and we've taken 4 to the house, I guess, this year, which is amazing to me.
Yeah. There was a lot of years we didn't have any. We went a long stretch without having to return for a touchdown. But the defense is playing well. Like you said, it's a team game, and we talk a lot about that in film session. Is you got to do your job, and a lot of times it's being unselfish so that your teammate can make the play that gets all the credit. But that's what team defense is all about, and that's why defenses that are good, they care about each other. And we always talk about being a great teammate. And if you're a great teammate, you got to be unselfish. You got to do your job, whether you get the credit or not. It's not about any individual. It's about Bradley. And I do think our guys have bought into that, and they're playing extremely hard. And our defensive line is able to get pressure on people. We've been pretty good up front so far the first 5 games. So we've got to continue to win that turnover battle. And the defense, if they keep getting turnovers and bowing their back in certain field position, then we have a good chance to continue this.
Well, 10 total takeaways this year, 8 interceptions, 2 fumble recovers, and that's devastating to the offense because they're thinking they're going to go down the field and score, and then all of a sudden you've taken the ball away, hopefully in good field position there. Knox Watson, Simon Mullis last week led with 7 total tackles each, and of course Simon got hurt late in the game there. Rodney Williams had 6 total tackles, so it's spread out a lot. And I was looking at Knox Watson, Isaiah Arnold, and the other big guy in the middle. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. 65 total tackles between them and 10 sacks among those 3 on the front line. And that's spread out pretty evenly there. Talking about offense now a little bit. 297 yards rushing last week on 38 carries. And I don't know how much more we can brag on the offensive line, the job doing. A very veteran line with 4 seniors, I think, starting lineup, and they're making holes for the running backs and protecting Aiden, who seems to be back to 100% healed, pretty much so. And it makes it a lot easier on the offense, especially running backs and quarterback, when that offensive line is doing their thing and protecting and blocking and opening those gaps each week.
Just like we talked about with defense being unselfish, the offensive line has to be very unselfish. And it's a tight-knit group, and you can tell. They care about each other. They care about Jackson. They care about protecting Aiden. And those are things you got to have. You got to have a little pride, and our offensive line does. And obviously they have some experience. Coming into the season, we knew we were going to have to rely on them, but they're very unselfish. I think they take a lot of pride in those rushing yards.
Oh, yeah.
You talk about having a good defense. A lot of that's due to an offensive line and running game because we're running the clock.
Yeah.
And in the past we've thrown it around a lot, so our defense is on the field a lot. So I think that's one of the things that's helped us defensively is, once again, it's a team game, and they're chewing up some clock and running the ball, and our defense is a little bit more fresh. So you got to run the football to be successful at this level. So happy with that. We've got to continue that, just like I talked about the other parts of our game. But we got to quit turning the ball over offensively. We've had way too many turnovers offensively. Aiden was not healthy at the beginning. He's back to 100%. He's got to just go play. I think he's got a lot on him mentally. He probably expected some bigger numbers coming in the game or the season. But we believe in him. Just like we talk about being unselfish and certain people make the play on defense, it's a lot more than just Aiden that's wrong with our passing game right now. So we got to continue to open that up, and we got to run the routes of the hard every play. We've got to recognize from receivers, recognizing coverages where those holes are, and then we got to do a little bit better job pass protection. Our run blocking's been pretty good, but we got to do better protecting Aiden, while he's in the pocket. So those are things that we're looking to improve, and we worked on real hard in the off week. So we got to be very balanced moving forward if we're going to have success against these teams. They're going to start loading the box to try to stop Jackson. And we've got to have answers.
That's what I'd do if I was the other team looking at some film and all that. Let me ask you this. Talk about the open week. Obviously, we had to move our home game, first game of the year, down to Finley Stadium, playing Brainerd. Then we had 3 road games against 3 rivalries. And every week I know you talk about trying to get the team up, understand what this rivalry means. Then we have the region game, which was with Cleveland in that mix too. So you think, okay, these 3 rivalry games are behind us, and then all of a sudden, now we're going to have our first home game on the new turf. It's homecoming and all the hoopla, and it's well-deserved hoopla. There's a ton of stuff put together celebrating the turf and all that. Are you back to a normal, with an off week, you sort of, take a big breath, are you back to a normal, so-called normal practice routine now, or?
Be honest, I don't think we ever got out of it for us. I know there was a lot of hoopla around the turf, and, rightfully so, but as far as our team, we still went to work every day. The way we're looking at it is approaching it. The first 5 games of the season are over and done with. Like we're thinking that that's over and done with. We're moving on. It's a new season. So right now we're 0-0 with all of our goals still in front of us. So all we're looking to do is go 1-0. And it's going to be tough against a Bearden team. I know we're not talking about Bearden yet, but they've probably played the toughest schedule in the state when you look at it. We'll get more into that, but they're very good defensively. They're very well coached. So, as far as our team, I think for the most part, we got a hard-working team. They show up every day for the most part and work hard. Now, they are teenagers, and everybody has their days. So, but it gets hot. It's a long season, and I hope our kids are excited to play again, because that's what we do all the practices for and all off-season workouts is to get to perform on Friday night. And the open week for me, I hate it. I'd rather not have an open week. I don't think we need one in high school football. I'd rather just keep playing. And but it probably did come at a good time for us. We've had some guys out. We were missing, I think, 4 starters against Hardin Valley defensively. So all those guys are now back. But of course, Simon went down. So. It's just a lot of hard work, and you take it day by day. So whether it's an open week or not, then our guys, they got to come ready to practice every day and get better.
You mentioned Simons. What type of injury did he have? He had that long run, and he never got up on his own power.
Well, it was bad. He had 2 breaks in his lower part of his leg, one at the top, one at the bottom, and when he broke it, his ankle kind of moved over the side. So he had surgery last Thursday.
Wow.
So he's going to be out the remainder of the season. And the only way I can look at it, and I told him, is look, you're a sophomore. That's the good thing. It's not your junior or senior year. So, which really hurts us because he moved in the starting lineup. He was a starter for us defensively because of the way he played in the preseason, and the first couple games on special teams. So he's a very intense kid, very fast, good tackler, and we tell our team all the time, just because you start the first game doesn't mean you start the second. And that's another instance. He was not a starter the first game. He became a starter because of the way he played and took advantage of his opportunities.
Well, that defense, which he is part of there, I just talked about they had 8 interceptions, and 7 were by different players in that 8 interceptions. Every one of those interceptions was by an underclassman except Wayne Dayton's last week. He's the only senior in that group that caught those. So, boy, as defense coordinator, you got to feel good about the rest of the season and what's coming back.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we don't really talk a whole lot about it. We're just worried about Bearden at this point.
That's right.
So, I never get too caught up into what grade they're in, because every year is a totally different year, and it doesn't matter if you're a freshman, or a senior. You're a varsity football player is the way we look at it, and you just got to perform on that Friday night. So, I didn't know that until you told me.
Well, we're going to take a break right here. We'll be back in just a moment and look ahead at the Bearden game coming up. Big region game here at home again this Friday night. We'll be back in just one moment. Welcome back to the Coach Damon Floyd Show this week. Bearden, the Bulldogs coming in here, they've sort of become a common opponent. We played them during the Super 32 in 15 and 16, and then we didn't for a year or two. Now they're back in our reach, so we're going to play them every year for a foreseeable future there. Prior to that, we hadn't played for 40 years, way back then. And you played against Bearden in the 95 season, which was your final year as a Bear there. I'm sure that's one of those teams. It's a good quality program that you like playing. It's like Farragut. Now Farragut's a member of our region, so it's the kind of things we like to play. Martin Schindlever, he's in his 8th season, and he's taken his guys about 6 straight years. Bears have been there. This will be 12 with the guarantee to be there this year. So it's a quality program coming in, and people look at that record of 2-4 and think, piece of cake. It is far from that. If they look at that and think that, they don't know football.
Well, you've talked about it. We've played Bearden a lot in the past, 6-8 years,
Yeah.
and we know what kind of football team they're. They're very well coached. They have good athletes. The record's what, 2-4? 2-4.
Look who they lost to.
Yeah, they've lost to South Dull, who's a top 5 5A team. They've lost to Knox West, who's the number 1 team in the state at 5A. They've lost to Maryville, who's the number 2 team in 6A. They've lost to Oak Ridge, who, when they lost the first game of the year, they were in the state finals last year in 5A. They were top 5 in the state.
Played Doyle and Fulton, like you mentioned, there too.
Yeah, Fulton, they're
Perennially
ranked. Yeah, so
great team.
the people they've been beat by, and they're not getting blown out. I mean, Maryville was a blowout, different story. But they're very tough. They're very good defensively. And I talked to our team this morning about we have got to win the field position battle. We cannot expect to, drive the length of the field offensively against them all night. So defense has got to get some stops. Special teams will be huge. Cannot turn the ball over. It's the same football cliches you hear every week against good teams. And if we do those things, then we're not going to have a chance. So we've got to do those, take care of those little things to have a chance against Bearden. And they're going to be in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at all their scores. Most of the time it's a 1-score game, and it comes down to the final seconds. So we expect it to be a battle, and it has been every year we played them. Really. I mean, there's been a couple years that maybe the score gets a little bit lopsided, but they've had some big wins against us as well. So we expect a battle.
Well, I read a preseason scouting report. Apparently, they have a lot of good receivers back. And crazy thing is, their quarterback left and went to Knox West, and Knox West quarterback left and come to Bearden. I don't understand what went on there, but obviously it's a pretty good quarterback there, but he's got a lot of good receivers. So, I don't get to see the films like you do. What do you see when you look at them on film? What do they like to do to be successful on offense, or what do they try to do?
In the 6A level, it's pretty much the same scheme-wise every week. You got a lot of people running inside zone. They have run a little bit of power, but they're going to spread people out.
Yeah.
They're going to look at the numbers in the box. They're going to RPO you. So depending on what kind of leverage the secondary has and overhangs and alley defenders, things like that, the quarterback always has the option to throw different routes that they have built in off a run play. Mm-hmm. So that's what everybody's doing these days, and so it's a really come down to individuals defensively reading your key and doing your job. Because if you don't, it only takes one person to mess up, and it's like the whole defense is bad. Yeah. And that's what happens these days is you lose a little bit of leverage, and we've lost it a couple times. Like McMinn County, we played great defense. 10 guys are doing great. They score because we lost leverage in the secondary off one formation. And it's those little bitty things they can take advantage of. They're very well coached. So they've struggled a little bit at putting points up. The quarterback situation, they're actually playing, a freshman as well. Mm-hmm. So I do think they're trying to protect him a little bit. And the passing game's not something you'll see where they drop back and read a lot. It's more quick stuff or throws off a run game as well. So, like I said, they're really good defensively. And they give you multiple looks. Probably one of the most, exotic defenses you'll see. They blitz from everywhere, and there'll be a defensive end lineup on the right wide side, and all of a sudden he's stunning to B gap opposite side. So there's a lot of things we've got to pick up. So they get some tackles for loss. We understand going into the game there'll probably be some tackles for loss on us because we're going to miss one or two of those guys every now and then. We just got to, when we do get a gap, we got to take advantage of it and hopefully bust some big plays. But overall, good team, and like I said, we're going to have our hands full.
Well, going back to one thing you said earlier, we know Simon Mull's done for the year, and you mentioned had the open week, and most of the guys are back normal. Are we pretty healthy otherwise?
I think Simon's the only one we have out.
Okay.
Yeah, so honestly, it's probably as healthy as we've been all year. Yeah. We've had certain people been out every single game. Some, like last week, was 4 guys out, starters. But it's just Tuesday. Yeah. So who knows by Friday who's in and who's out.
Well, maybe that open week came at a good time to get everybody healed and get the bumps and bruises behind them a little bit. I'd like to once again thank Las Margaritas for providing the coverage on this week's Coach Show on the Buzz 101.3. We'll have kickoff at 7 p.m. here at Friday Central Friday night. Pregame at 5:30. So join us on the Buzz 101.3. God bless and go Bears.